Which is more powerful, science or the mysteries beyond it? Here's the thing, that question is itself a kind of mystery, because science was born in the very beginning to explain the unexplainable. And you've surely heard the saying, where science ends, mystery begins. There's real truth to that, because the ultimate questions of science really do start to look like metaphysics. Newton, Einstein, even these giants couldn't escape it. They all kept asking the same thing: what lies beyond the edge of what we can know? Is it the source code of a creator, an experiment run by higher dimensional beings, or just one cold, perfect final equation? All of it traces back to 3 staggering moments in the history of science. In each of these moments, the greatest minds who ever lived were forced to wonder whether miracles might actually be real. The first moment belongs to Newton. His equations predicted the orbit of every planet with perfect precision, yet he could never explain where the first push, the thing that set it all in motion, came from. In the end, he fell back on the idea of the hand of God. The second belongs to Einstein. A constant appeared in his equations that even he thought was unnecessary. He called it the biggest blunder of his life. But today, that blunder may be the key to the mysterious force tearing the universe apart: dark energy. The third is quantum mechanics. A single particle can be here and there at the same time, like a ghost. Einstein refused to believe it to his dying day. God, he insisted, does not play dice. Now let's go back to where it all began and watch how humanity woke up, one miraculous riddle at a time. How flesh and blood mortals with nothing but their own hands and minds pried open the secrets of the universe one step at a time. This isn't the story of gods, it's the epic of human curiosity. The starting point of science wasn't quiet contemplation like you might imagine, it was survival. When the ancient Egyptians looked up at the stars, they weren't searching for poetry, they were trying to predict the flooding of the Nile. By tracking the rising and setting of Sirius, they built humanity's earliest solar calendar because it decided their harvests, their lives, their deaths. You heard that right, the first great engine of science was farming. Then came the turning point. In ancient Greece, a strange group of people appeared. Their bellies were full, and so they began to chew on strange questions. Thales said, "Forget the gods, the origin of all things is water." Archimedes discovered the law of buoyancy in his bathtub and ran naked into the streets shouting, "Eureka, I found it." They invented a whole new game, explaining the world through reason and logic instead of myth. It was like a brilliant guessing game, the logic elegant, the guesses bold. But were they actually right? Nobody knew, because they were missing the one crucial piece, and without it, the road to science broke off and slept for 1,000 years. So what was that missing piece? The answer is experiment. It was the thought, I might not be right, but we can test it. As the intellectual ice age of the Renaissance began to thaw, a man named Galileo stepped forward. The greatest thing he ever did wasn't dropping iron balls from the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It was grinding lenses with his own hands and pointing a telescope at the sky for the first time. With his own eyes, he saw the moons of Jupiter. With his own eyes, he confirmed that Copernicus's heliocentric model was no fantasy. From him on, science had a new language: mathematics plus experiment. Every guess now had to be proven. Then, standing on Galileo's shoulders, Newton arrived. In 1687, he published the Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy and did something unprecedented. With just a handful of simple equations, F equals ma, the law of universal gravitation, he unified the motion of the planets in the heavens with the falling of an apple on the ground. In Newton's eyes, the universe was like a precise machine, running according to a kind of cosmic constitution. Everything so perfect, so certain. But remember the first question we opened with? Was Newton's system really perfect? No. His gravity could reach across the vast emptiness of space and act instantly. But what was this force, really? How did it cross the void? Newton himself couldn't explain it. He could only attribute it to that same invisible hand of God. The first riddle looked solved, but we'd fallen into a deeper one. What is the true nature of gravity? History kept moving, and this time, science was pushed forward by a few people just fooling around. Franklin flew a kite in a thunderstorm, extremely dangerous. Please do not try this, simply out of curiosity, wanting to prove that the lightning in the sky and the electricity we talk about every day were the same thing. And then there was Faraday, a dirt-poor bookbinder who never even finished grade school, forever tinkering with magnets and coils. He discovered something astonishing. A spinning magnet could actually produce a current in a coil. Magnetism gave birth to electricity. These scattered, seemingly useless discoveries were like puzzle pieces, until Maxwell arrived. With one set of breathtakingly elegant equations, he perfectly unified three things that seemed to have nothing to do with one another: electricity, magnetism, and light. And he predicted that the universe was full of invisible electromagnetic waves, that the light we see is only a tiny, tiny sliver of them. For the first time, humanity realized we live in an ocean made of waves, but a new problem arose. This classic mechanical picture of the universe began to crack. If a wave needs a medium to travel through, water waves need water, sound waves need air, then when light travels through empty space, what is its medium? Scientists imagined a substance that was everywhere and called it the ether. They believed the ether was like water filling the entire ocean of the cosmos. To find it, they designed countless precise experiments, the most famous being the Michelson-Morley experiment. It was sensitive enough to detect the ether's existence, but the result was zero, nothing at all. Did this ghostly ether even exist? A century of theory had walked to the edge of a cliff. What now? And so came the final showdown with the ether, a puzzle about to ignite a revolution that would overturn everything. The great edifice of classical physics was darkening with storm clouds. Everyone felt something, somewhere, had to be wrong. Then, in 1905, a 26-year-old clerk at a patent office made his move. His name was Albert Einstein. He had no laboratory, only his mind. And he asked himself one question: if I chased after a beam of light, what would I see? And relativity was born. The answer overturned everyone's common sense. There is no absolute time in this world. There is no absolute space. The faster you move, the slower your time flows. And gravity isn't a force at all. It's the bending of space-time by mass. Picture a giant trampoline, set a bowling ball on it, and the surface sinks. A small marble nearby will naturally roll toward it. That is gravity. Einstein replaced Newton's hand of God with the pure beauty of the geometry of space-time. The second riddle solved. But at the very moment Einstein ascended to greatness, another ghost appeared, one he could never accept to the end of his life. Quantum mechanics. It told us that a single photon can be a particle and can be a wave. What is it, really? It depends on how you look at it. This shattered the very definition of objective reality. It told us you can never know both the exact position and the exact speed of a particle at the same time. This isn't a failure of your measuring tools, it's the factory setting of the universe itself. This is the uncertainty principle. To mock how absurd it all was, Schrödinger proposed a thought experiment. A cat is sealed in a box, its life or death decided by the decay of a single quantum. Until you open the box, that cat exists in a superposition, both dead and alive. Doesn't that sound stranger than any mystical tale ever told? It made Einstein so furious he wanted to slam the table. God, he said, does not play dice. How could a ghostly particle possibly decide whether a cat lives or dies? But the answer from the Copenhagen school was, yes, it can. The bedrock logic of the universe is probability. That ghostly casino is the real world. Only when you place your bet, when you observe, does the outcome snap into place. The third question we opened with, has that quantum ghost been solved? The answer is no. Einstein's doubt still echoes over physics to this day. The mystery of that cat's life and death remains the greatest controversy in all of physics. Look at how far we've come. We began by gazing at the stars to grow our crops, and we've arrived at staring into the fog of the quantum to question God himself. The story of science was never a group of brilliant people breezing through every level of the game. It's generation after generation, in endless darkness, using curiosity as the only torch, stumbling, falling, and pressing on, one after another, to win us this faint sliver of light we see today. Newton left us the riddle of gravity. Einstein left us the dream of a unified theory. Quantum mechanics left us the paradox of the cat. And today we stand on their shoulders, facing mysteries even greater. The dark matter and dark energy that make up 95% of the universe. The singularity at the heart of a black hole and its information paradox, and even consciousness itself. How did a universe built from elementary particles ever give birth to us? Beings capable of reflecting on that very universe? These are the hands of God and the quantum ghosts of our own era. The epic of science has no ending. Every one of its final chapters is only the beginning of a grander question. And what has driven all of it from the start was never the answers, but that restless, endlessly questioning human curiosity